Hello and welcome back, Husker fans. It is late Friday night, 10:08 p.m. I'm getting this USC preview out just in the nick of time. My apologies for how late it is. But we're going to be talking Nebraska at USC tomorrow, 3 o'clock Central, Big Ten Network. This is the opening game of Nebraska's two-game road trip to Los Angeles. USC tomorrow and then UCLA next week. So let's talk about USC's injuries. Injury-riddled team. Rodney Rice, who is their leading scorer, is out. Amarian Dickerson is out. And I'll say Chad Baker-Mazara, who's now their best player, best scorer with Rodney Rice out, he's been nursing an injury. He's likely going to play through it like he did against UCLA. But there were a couple of times he was wincing in pain in that UCLA loss. So they've had a lot of injuries that's hurting their results. But let's take a look at their roster talent. You guys know I love recruiting. Rodney Rice is not going to play, but I thought I'd include him. He was a big-time transfer. This roster is made up of a ton of transfer players. So Rodney Rice transferred from Maryland. Now, he is injured, so we won't play in this game, but you can see 96 overall rating, 25th best player in the transfer portal last offseason. It's too bad they lost him. Chad Baker-Mazara, big-time transfer, 21st best player in the portal last offseason, the third-rated small forward. He transferred from Auburn, and he's had a long career. So he started at started at Duquesne, then transferred to San Diego State. Then he went to JUCO, and then he transferred to Auburn, did 2 years there, and now in his final season with USC. He is their best scorer. He can knock down threes, just a playmaker on offense. Really bad defender, though. Elijah Arenas, their stud freshman phenom. You look at his rating, 10th best player in the country. Not a transfer portal guy. Number one shooting guard in the nation and the second best player out of the state of California. Not a very good shooter yet. He's only shooting like 33% from the field and 22% from three, but he's averaging 14 a game. Ezra Asur, another transfer from Utah and East Carolina. So he's now a Trojan. He's their big man, 6'9", 253, good rebounder. And then their last stud that I'll talk about, Jacob Kofi, big-time transfer from Virginia. You see he was the 75th overall player in the portal and the 13th rated power forward. So they've got a talented roster made up of a lot of transfers. And their head coach, Eric Musselman, in his second season, he's doing a good job. He was 17 and 18 last year in his first year, and he's steadily improving. They're on the bubble to get into the NCAA tournament. Now, if we look at USC's schedule, good start to the season. They started out 8-0 before their first loss to Washington. And then they got to 12-1. Then they started Big Ten play. Got just walloped by Michigan and Michigan State. They've struggled in Big Ten play. That's the only way to put it. They've lost 4 in a row, so they're on a 4-game losing skid. Their most impressive win was probably at Wisconsin. Yeah, at Wisconsin. So that's their best win. They've gotten blown out by good teams. You see Illinois slaughtered them. But yeah, they're struggling right now. Injuries has affected that. But it's also just their defense has been terrible. Just terrible. So let's look at their player stats. Got a lot of talent on this roster, some playmakers. Now, I crossed out Rodney Rice since he's hurt and Amarian Dickerson. But Chad Baker-Mazara, he's their dude, 18.6 points a game. And then I highlighted his three-point shooting percentage. I watched the highlights of their last game at UCLA. He can make it rain from deep. He doesn't need a lot of space either. He's a lefty. He can stroke it. Ezra Asur, he's their big man, good rebounder, 15.3 points per game, 6.5 rebounds. And I highlighted his field goal percentage, 58.7%. And you know what I love? He's one of their forwards. 0% from the field. That tells me he doesn't hardly ever take threes, unlike our bigs. And then Elijah Arenas, their freshman phenom. You can see he's been hurt off and on this season, but he's averaging 14 a game, 2.7 rebounds, and 1.7 assists. I did circle in red his poorest field goal percentage, just 33%, and he's only shooting 21.7% from three. So he's working to figure out his shot. Jacob Kofi, another good rebounder for them. 9.8 points per game, 7 rebounds, and then 1.7 blocks per game. He's shooting a solid 52% from the field. So they've got some dudes. Cam Woods, another transfer, 8 points per game, 4.6 rebounds. He's good on the offensive glass. That's one of the things about this USC team. They're a good rebounding team, especially on the offensive glass. It's going to be a tough matchup for Nebraska. All right, let's get a quick USC team overview. So they come into this game on a 4-game losing streak. They're 18-10, 7-10 in the conference. They're on the bubble watch. They're going to be hungry for a win, especially a top 15 Nebraska coming into their house. Eric Musselman, second season as head coach. He's got a lot of coaching experience. He's coached in the NBA, and then most recently, before USC, he was at Nevada and Arkansas. Put together phenomenal records at both those schools. And like I said, USC comes in on a 4-game losing skid. They're going to be hungry, and their home crowd's going to be hungry as well. This would be a huge win for their resume. And then their last game, they got blown out by UCLA. They shot just 35% from the field, and they committed 14 turnovers. That's one of the big weaknesses for this team that I'll get into in a minute. They turn the ball over a lot. All right, let's get into their probable starting lineup. I just took this from their last game against UCLA. Elijah Arenas at point guard, Chad Baker-Mazara at shooting guard, Cam Woods, small forward, and then Ezra Asur at forward and Jacob Kofi at the other forward. Let's get into USC strengths. So number one, offensive firepower. They're averaging 79.6 points per game. That's 5th in the conference, ahead of Nebraska. They've got a lot of talented scorers and good athletes. Baker-Mazara, Elijah Arenas, Ezra Asur. And they attack the paint. They're aggressive. Second strength, balanced scoring depth. They've got multiple players that can score, as I showed you. They've got 5 players averaging at least 8 points per game. And they play more guys than Nebraska does, too. Now, that's without Rodney Rice. If you had Rodney Rice, if he wasn't injured, they'd have 6 guys averaging at least 8 points per game. Third strength, their head coach, baby. Eric Musselman. A lot of coaching experience at Nevada, Arkansas. He also coached for the Golden State Warriors and Sacramento Kings. But then look at this. I put in his overall records at each school. So at Nevada, he was 110-34. At Arkansas, 111-59. And now at USC, he's compiled a 35-28 record. Tough first season, going 17-18, but he's a hell of a coach, and he does a great job in the transfer portal, as you can see. This team is steadily improving under his coaching, under his leadership. All right, let's get into USC's weaknesses. Number one, defensive vulnerabilities. They're allowing almost 77 points per game. That's 3rd worst in the conference. Teams are shooting at a very high clip against them. You know, in my film review of their UCLA game, they give up a lot of open looks. They play lax defense. They don't apply a lot of pressure to the ball. Just not a ton of effort. Teams not only are shooting at a high clip, but they're generating a ton of transition points because they turn it over so much. Second weakness, their three-point shooting. They're only averaging 6.3 made three-pointers per game. That's near the bottom of Division I offenses, and they're only shooting 32% on the season, which is bottom of the Big Ten. So Nebraska's got a big advantage from the perimeter. We average, I think, 11 threes made per game to their 6. We hit 5 more threes. That's a 15-point advantage right there. Last weakness for USC, second to last, turnovers. They're averaging the most turnovers per game in the entire conference, 12.6 per game. So they're not good at protecting the basketball. That's where Nebraska, who is one of the best defenses at forcing turnovers, has a big opportunity to score points in transition. Last weakness for USC, just their inconsistency in close games. In their last 10, they're 4-6. And they've trailed late in games they've controlled, most recently including a blown lead versus Oregon. So late game execution has not been good for them, and they're just 4-6 in their last 10. All right, Husker keys to victory, baby. Number 1, force turnovers and convert to points in transition. Last 2 games, we've done a great job of converting turnovers into points. That shouldn't stop in this game. USC turns it over the most in the Big Ten. We need to apply heavy ball pressure and work to get points in transition. And our guys, whoever's going to the rim, finish strong. Finish strong at the rim. At the very least, we'll shoot free throws. Second key to the game, control the glass. This is going to be difficult. This is going to be a tough matchup for Nebraska. Watching USC against UCLA, they got beat good in that game, but they're very similar to Maryland. They don't have a ton of size and length, but they've got athletic guys that crash the glass, especially on the offensive glass. So Nebraska's got to find a way to box out their dudes and win the rebounding battle. We have the last couple of games. It was a narrow margin against Maryland. It's going to be a tough one here. But if we can control the glass, that just gives us a huge advantage. Third key to the game, control the perimeter. We have a heavy advantage in three-point shooting. So our defense needs to contest their threes, get in the face of Baker Mazzara, get in the face of Elijah Arenas, get in the face of their big men, because they will try to attack the paint and get shots at the free throw line. So we got to play smart, not commit a ton of fouls, but we should own the perimeter. We should hit a ton of threes because they leave guys wide open. They do not play tight defense, but I think it can't just be Price Sanford. I want to see a multitude of guys hitting threes because they're going to be open. Sam Hoiberg needs to continue hitting them. Jamarcus Lawrence needs to get back on track. Rank, if he's going to take some, he needs to hit them. It can't just be Sanford. Last key to the game. We've done a better job the last few. Play controlled, efficient offense. Attack the paint. Attack the rim, get to the free throw line. We had 24 free throws last game against Maryland. That was much better how we were aggressive, but we need to minimize turnovers. We did a great job of that against Maryland. Last few games, we've done a better job minimizing turnovers. For a stretch there during our losing, when we lost that, those 4 of 6 games, we were having uncharacteristic turnovers. Last few, we've done a much better job that can't change in this game. Keeping USC's defense moving may force poor defensive rotations, and that's all I saw in their game against UCLA. So we should get a ton of open looks. We've just got to protect the ball, move constantly, and convert those open looks. Go up strong. So my game prediction for this one, it's on the road. It's not necessarily going to be a tough environment. We all know how Los Angeles fans are. They're not very passionate about football, basketball, really anything. So I think the Huskers are going to pull out a close one, 78-67 on the road. I think USC's got a lot of talented scorers. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to get their offensive rebounds. They're going to make it tough on Nebraska. But I think ultimately we pull away thanks to our three-point shooting. And I also think you're going to see us be aggressive. I think we're going to win the free throw battle. Regardless of how many times USC gets the line, I think we're going to shoot better because they're not a good free throw shooting team. So I think that's what this is going to come down to. We're going to outshoot them from 3. We're going to outshoot them from the free throw line, and we're going to win the turnover battle. And I think that's going to be the difference in this game. Now, I think we're going to struggle to box their dudes out. I think that's why they're going to keep it so close. They're going to kill us on the offensive glass. And get a lot of second chance opportunities. They have good athletes. And I think Baker Mazzara, even though we'll apply good pressure defense, he doesn't need a lot of space. So I think he's going to hit some threes and light it up. But I think ultimately Nebraska winning the turnover battle, we're going to force more than them. We're going to convert at the free throw line. We're going to convert in transition, and we're going to shoot better all around. So I think we get the victory by 11, 78-67. Huskers. Thanks for watching, you guys. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave comments. Appreciate everybody. And let's have a great weekend. Huskers tomorrow at USC, 3 o'clock Central on Big Ten Network. Thanks for watching, everybody, and like always, go Big Red, baby.